Hello and welcome back to An Abundance of Naught. Garrett here, joined with Brad and Wade.
Hello.
It is September the 23rd and we have missed you guys. Not
Absolutely.
me missing you guys.
We have?
Us
No,
missing
we've
the
missed
listeners.
the audience
Okay.
people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hope everyone is well. Sorry about last week. We had a few family things pop up that needed addressing. So,
Garrett flaked.
well, Garrett had daughter. Daughter had priority. Sorry, guys.
Bradley had move.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
I was the only one going,
right.
guys.
Yeah, there's that.
I think Wade was set up on time and everything. I was like, yeah, we're not doing it tonight. He's like, oh.
No, I asked
Wait.
ahead of time.
Wade, you should have just gone ahead and recorded.
Probably would have been better, yeah. Just been the other two.
An Abundance of Wade.
There you go.
You can find that on his YouTube channel. So what's going on? Talk to us.
Not much. It's been kind of a quiet weekend.
Uh-huh. I've been told to call BS on that one, my good sir. So here I am, calling BS on that one.
Sir.
Sir.
Yeah, so it's been a very eventful, well, I guess it's 2 weeks now since
Yes.
we've recorded. The move is almost complete. Well, the long move is complete. So we rented a large moving truck and drove the 740 miles from Indiana to Georgia and put all our stuff in storage, and then flew back to Indiana and picked up the children and drove back with them. Yeah, so all in all, we've put on the up, the back, the move, everything. We've done about 2,000 miles in the last week.
Oh, is that all?
Yay.
Yeah, that's all.
So,
Nothing major.
are you at the point where you're putting up a picture and your wife goes, no, a little to the left. No, too far.
No.
A little more to the right. Too far.
No, we're not quite there yet.
That's next week, hopefully.
That's next week.
Okay.
So the house did indeed sell. We had our closing, and we just did the final walkthrough with the inspector today on the house we're trying to buy, and everything is good there. So we have the purchase closing, fingers crossed, on Friday.
Sweet.
Yes.
Aside from just paperwork delays, that's really the only thing that would hold you up, right?
Yes.
Fantastic. That is good news.
It has been a incredibly busy couple weeks.
Nice.
Yep.
Anything, notable about the most recent weekend? I mean, I have heard it was anything but quiet. Or was it just complications from, not complications, but move peripherals?
Yeah, the most recent weekend was the move. So it was all
Got
the
it.
packing and loading the truck and the driving and
The driving and
the
driving.
driving and more driving.
Are we there yet? No, we're still driving.
Yes. Although I did have my first opportunity to display my parallel parking prowess.
Yeah? How'd that go for you?
Yeah, I hate parallel parking. But anyway, I managed to parallel park a 26-foot truck on the first attempt.
Wow. How many cars
No,
did you
right?
push out of your way?
Well, I wasn't going to mention the cars I drove over.
The sun
it
was...
You successfully stopped at the curb. What was in the way prior? Well, we're just not going to mention that.
The
well,
sun...
it was not in the way after.
The sun was setting by the time he got it done.
Nope, it was first attempt. It took me, I pulled up, I backed in, we were done. Admittedly, it was a parking space big enough for a 26-foot truck. I wasn't trying to, cram this into a standard parking space. But, got it done.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I hear they send
And
you plaques for that, so I'm sure yours is in the mail.
I still hate parallel parking.
Brad's next car is going to have that auto park function
You got that right.
with a T emblem on the front and back of it. No, cool. So you guys are now in temporary residency in the, greater Atlanta area?
Correct.
And just pending some final paperwork to be
Permanent.
up and running. Very cool. Wade, what's been going on with you for the past 2 weeks?
Unfortunately, I've been just up and down working in terms, but the most recent weekend did get an upgrade in the tech area. Recently got a new phone, upgraded from I believe the iPhone 4 to the Samsung Note.
You abandoned ship.
Note 5, by the way. He is current gen. And yes, jump ship.
Mm-hmm.
No longer an Apple.
That's correct.
With the deal, also got a tablet.
Nice.
Yep. So also we're rolling with a Samsung. Was it Lite? I think.
Yeah, it's like a Tab 8, something like that. It's
so how are you liking Android?
Little 8-inch tablet.
I've had Android before I went to before I got the iPhone for Christmas. So
right, but I mean it's been a while and things have updated since.
There's a lot of
not.
What's it called? Quality of life features, I guess it'd be called.
Okay.
I mean, you're typing in a word where if the phone will remember if you use a certain phrase a lot, so since you know if you want to if you need to pick someone up, the phone will remember if you've asked this person if they need to be picked up multiple times, and it'll be like and it'll just keep on hitting that center button. It'll do that whole sentence.
Nice.
So it's real nice. And I'm just working around the phone and getting it set the way I like it, and the pad as well.
That's always the challenge when you get something new.
Yep. Make it
getting it set up perfectly. Yeah. Once everything is settled with the house, I hope to upgrade my phone as well.
I was about to say put some big screens in.
Yeah.
84-inch 8Ks.
Stadium seating.
We'll get to that shortly. On my front, we've talked a lot about the drone stuff recently, and I had a pretty gnarly crash a couple weeks ago, and actually cracked part of the frame.
Oh,
so I had ordered new frame parts to replace those in question, and in an attempt to tune the brain of it once again, the USB port solders released and popped off the board. So I contacted the manufacturer and just kind of asked them, hey, how do you want to handle this? And they said, go ahead and send it back to us. We'll give you an RMA. We'll ship out a new one tomorrow. So I've got the new board. It's all initially flashed. Everything's remounted into the quad. I have not lifted it off yet. I did all that last night. I was hoping to do that today, but some things came up, so I haven't had the opportunity yet to do any more aerial tests.
No, he was going to. I saw his hand shaking.
What's that, Fred?
I said a little nervous?
No. But in the process of replacing the frame parts and replacing the board, I saw some images of a guy who took some paint to just the edges of the frame. And I thought it looked really slick, so I found some model paint and tested out a few colors. I've since painted the edges, which makes it pop a little bit, and I rewired the entire drone. So a lot less chaos going on now, much cleaner setup. So yeah, now it's just hoping it all works. And then I get to move on to the GoPro mount.
Awesome.
Yeah. Aside from that, we've ordered some new furniture in the house, which is nice. Although
Did you get me a new sofa?
We are.
Nice, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I'll come out in a couple weeks and give it a try.
There you go. It's a 3-cushion sofa, but one of them is a lounge. But
Perfect.
The foot support portion for it is not attached to the sofa. It's kind of like an ottoman, but it's an extended cushion, so you can move it around in either position of the couch.
Dude, you shouldn't have.
Nice. I know, I did. It's actually not the one I wanted to get for you, but that one was less adjustable.
Oh.
So they said the couch is about 4 to 6 weeks out, but there's a matching chair that we got, and we were able to pick that up right away. So
cool.
We are upgrading.
That sounds wonderful.
The downside is the current furniture is probably going out to our vacation house. We didn't have any plans to go out there till the end of November, which means we got to get creative on where to put that stuff between now and then.
Yeah, there's always room for more. Well, wait, no, there's not.
No, there's not. We'll have to get creative with the vehicle situation.
Yeah, you're not allowed to park outside, are you?
I am and I'm not. We have 2 parking passes because we technically have 4 vehicles registered, but they really, really, really want you to park 2 vehicles in the garage pretty much at all times.
Oh, so, I didn't mention that with our new house, we have no HOA. We can do whatever we want.
Shut your mouth.
Oh, and that's on half an acre.
Shut up. Why do we talk to you?
And it's 1,300 square feet and half basement.
It's only 1,300 square feet?
Yep.
The internet said it was bigger than that.
Well, the internet lies.
Cyber's talking at its finest.
I already have your new address. You haven't even taken ownership of it yet. No, the basement looked good. Nice fireplace to it. No crazy painted walls right now. So that's a good start.
Yep.
A little bit of, I could see a little demolition in your future, but that's fine. That's a different thing.
No.
Yes, no?
No.
What do you mean no?
Nope. I mean no as in no. No demolition in our future.
What do you mean? No, there has to be demolition. You take ownership, you do some adjustments, you make it yours.
Oh, well, okay. In that case, there will be some demolition in our future. We're redoing parts of the basement.
Okay. When I'm visiting, we're going to do a little bit more than that.
Nope, the kitchen is perfect.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
We're changing it.
That's your kitchen.
Garrett's going to walk up to the house dragging a sledgehammer.
That's right. I'm going to Home
Resident
Depot
Evil style.
Bringing in a sledgehammer. We're going to tear that thing down. No.
So next time you come visit, what you will get to see is I can see where you're getting what you're getting, but when you actually see it, it's not near as bad as it looks in the photos.
No one said it was bad. Just make it better.
It is better. Shut up.
No, all joking aside, obviously, your place, your rules. All right. With that, anything? Jump into some movies?
Let's do it.
Movies.
Movie time.
Da, 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 da. So we got a few weeks of movies to talk about here, and Wade and I did go see one of them, so we'll be able to talk about that. So we'll start with last week's movies here in the releases and in the box office. We'll start with the box office because they're a lot easier. Last week was led off by The Perfect Guy, brought in $25.9 million. The Visit, which is that slight horror movie, kids go to grandparents' house, pulled in $25.4 million. War Room brought in $7.8 million, and A Walk in the Woods brought in $4.7 million. Releasing last week was Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials, Black Mass, which is the Johnny Depp hitman type mafia movie, Everest, I'm calling it Sicario, and I have Pawn Sacrifice there, but I don't think that's accurate. I think that's actually releasing this week. So let's see. Maze Runner was 62%, Black Mass was 89%, Everest at 83%, and Sicario at 94%. So pretty good options last week. And coming out this week, I was actually surprised it's coming out as early as it is. Hotel Transylvania 2, currently not rated. The Intern, which actually looks really, really funny. It's with Robert De Niro, Anne Hathaway. And there's a few other pretty decent names in that. At 58%, still seeable. The Green Inferno, which is a horror movie.
I've been seeing evidence. I have no idea what that's about.
Yeah, it's kind of. I only saw one trailer for it today, and it looks like people are on. They get onto like an island or something, or they're in like get involved with a tribe who's potentially cannibalistic or something like that.
Mm.
And let's see here. I lost the last one. 1 second. And then Pawn Sacrifice, which is with what's his face? Tobey Maguire. It's also got Liev Schreiber in it, a few others, and it's about competitive chess, from what I can understand. American chess prodigy Bobby Fischer finds himself caught between two superpowers when he challenges the Soviet Empire. So that name rings a bell, though. Bobby Fischer. There was another movie that referenced that name. Forget what it is, though. Oh, yeah, I forget what it. I'm starting to picture it. Anyway, not important. So yeah, definitely some decent movies in theaters right now. Building up, obviously, to a little bit of pre-sight here. Next week we have The Martian going to be released, which extremely built up for. Looks very, very exciting. Hopefully the critics give it some decent reviews to encourage the rest of us to go see it. So, movies. Wade, we saw The Maze Runners, The Scorched Trials, Maze Runner 2.
Yes, we did.
What did you think of it?
I think it was a bit run-of-the-mill.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. This did go with, what's his name? The Littlefinger, Lord Baelish.
Yes, Ian. I think it's Ian. Not positive here. Anyway.
So, I don't really know how to describe this. I mean, we're now getting kind of into a zombie movie. And, I guess we see the effects of what happened to Earth.
Yeah, actor is Aidan Gillen. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, he plays Peter Baelish, a.k.a. Littlefinger. It's actually interesting. There's actually 3 actors from Game of Thrones in this movie. However, in Game of Thrones, never had the 3 met. So, and you're going to start seeing that a fair amount, I think, with Game of Thrones stuff, where you'll have actors that are all from Game of Thrones, but they never were on the show, quote unquote, together. You know, they're always filming different areas and whatnot. So, anyway. Yeah, the movie kind of taken a little bit of a zombie turn. For those who haven't watched the movie, essentially a virus has infected many, many people of the Earth, and some of the newer generation have seemed to be either resilient or immune to it from an airborne standpoint. And so it's kind of starting to get into that with this movie and moving on. It was entertaining. If you've had the initial viewing of the first movie, definitely expanding upon the world that we're getting more and more familiar with. So obviously, to me, if you've seen the first one, you had no reason not to see the second one. But seeing the second one on its own may not really give you enough insight as to what's fully going on. I think that's about.
See the first one, then the second one to figure out what is happening.
Yeah.
If you have some time to kill.
And it's definitely set up and planned to go for a third one.
Well, yeah.
So.
That's the thing now, isn't it?
It is. If you can't make a movie into 3 movies, then why bother making one at all?
Mm-hmm.
It is based on a book series, so it's not surprising there.
And yes, we are looking at you, Hobbit.
Actually, did you hear the Black Panther actually has a writer now?
Did they get a writer for the show?
Yep.
Or for the movie?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was already in production, actually, for some reason.
Nope. What was the Gambit movie is having trouble, though.
Yeah, it's kind of tough when you start bringing back, characters from previous movies and trying to build further upon it.
Channing Tatum was going to be Batman or Gambit.
I mean, he could pull it off depending on what kind of style they go with it. Do they go uber comic book where he's wearing the hood and he's wearing the contacts that would give him the eyes, or is he going more like the X-Men Origin movie?
Don't know.
Where he was a bit more just street.
It seems to be having trouble because it's lost, I think, its writer as well. So.
Yeah, it's Black Panther is listed on IMDb forecasting a July 2018 date with a few people listed for cast. Yep, Gambit. Channing Tatum is credited with potentially being in the movie. It's forecasted to release next year, so if they're having issues, then they're having big issues. Because that's not a lot of time to get everything done filming and edited and marketed, etc.
So it's either the director or the writer who backed out due to citing scheduling issues with the film.
Interesting. Okay. I think that about does it for movies, unless, Brad, you've got anything to weigh in on?
No, I do not.
All right, on to the news.
Where to start with the news?
Oh, that is the question.
Yes, it's been an interesting 2 weeks. Okay, so we're going to start lighthearted, and then we'll get depressing at the end.
Hooray.
That's how we do it.
I'm going to leave you depressed.
We're going to lead with the good stuff and leave you feeling like crap at the end. Okay, so
what we're saying is if you want to start listening now for a little while, you could drop off later and feel better about yourself.
You can just start taking naps, whatever.
Stop listening about halfway through. You'll be good.
We still got your listen count in. We're awesome.
Thank you. Sharp has announced that they will begin selling the first next generation television set. That's right, next generation. So
I can't even afford the current generation.
I know, right? So we mostly have 1080ps, although 4K is starting to. Although 4K is now beginning to come into its own. However, Sharp's announcement, I guess it was last week now, is that they will begin shipping an 8K TV next month.
I'm glad there's progression, but at the same time, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Although I know you're thinking about playing Halo 5 on an 8K display.
Except that the Xbox One can't output it. It can't even output 4K.
Is it even outputting 1080 right now?
Yes.
Oh,
Is it? Oh, wow.
Finally.
Yeah, I believe it's outputting 1080, but it's not even 4K. My guess is the major market for this is actually going to be signage, not TV. You want major-sized, very sharp digital signs.
Okay.
Although it does have a built-in TV tuner, not that you're going to pick up 8K TV, because nobody's broadcasting it.
No. Is anyone even broadcasting 4K yet?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyway, if you've got some spare money laying around, it is an 85-inch monitor with a native resolution of 7680 by 4320. It does require four HDMI inputs to drive a single screen.
Okay, I'm confused.
Yes.
So a 1080p TV resolution, the resolution is based on
the lines.
Isn't it it's lateral though, right?
Correct.
And then 4K was measured longitudinally. Vertically.
It's the number of columns, yes, not the number of lines.
Okay, so 1080p was vertical and 4K was horizontal.
Yes.
Okay. Then your factors make sense. I had them backwards in my head and it was driving me off a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, carry on.
So anyway, 4 HDMI inputs. That's not 4 that you switch between. It takes 4 cables to drive a single signal.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes. Anyway, if you've got the money laying around, it will debut next month for $133,000.
Yay. I mean, we don't even have or the infrastructure to send 4K, and they're already trying to push 8K? What the heck?
Yeah. Or it sounds even more impressive if you want to buy it in its native currency. Sharp being Japanese, you can buy it for a cool 16 million yen.
Huh.
So, Brad, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Would you rather have an 8K display or a residence?
And that is exactly the way up, isn't it? No, I will be buying the house, not the TV.
Sorry, I just kind of smacked everything around for a
Stop
second.
emoting so much, damn.
That was getting violent. Over a $100,000 screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like you said, it has to be for custom sort of programming and viewing. Not obviously, it's not designed for broadcasting because I don't think are movies even coming out in a 4K resolution.
I doubt it.
On Blu-ray.
You can get limited content on Blu-ray that is 4K. It is not mainstream yet.
So there's hardly any reason to even justify a 4K display right now.
Correct.
To the majority of population. I mean, to pretty much anybody. I mean, to have it to say you have it, oh, fine, good, great, congratulations to you, but you're not really using the capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're doubling it, so to speak, for what reason?
Because we can.
I was going to say, pretty much it's because we can, not because we need to.
So, you said it's Samsung?
Sharp.
Sharp. So Sharp has spent all this money in R&D and development for a TV that the majority of the demographic, I assume, has no business owning.
Yeah, but somebody will buy it. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
They got to be on the cutting edge. They're thinking forward, man.
That's right.
I mean,
They're
if I was
ready.
if I was a $100 millionaire and I was making $100,000 a month on interest, then yeah, probably. But that's pretty much the only circumstance.
I agree with Wade, though. They're very forward-thinking. One day in 20 years, we will be broadcasting in 8K. And
By that, it'll be like 20K.
Who will be laughing then?
And Sharp spent all this money developing it. Samsung and Sony will go buy their TV, break it apart, and manufacture the same thing with far less R&D costs.
They'll just buy the raw panel and put the Samsung sticker on it.
Well, or that. It's what they do now, really.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah, for those who don't know, all Samsung and many other companies is buy LG products and put their logo on it. So, good for them.
Yeah, there's a limited number of LCD fabs in the world, and everybody else just buys them.
Yep. All right. Well, anyway, moving on.
Well, you might be able to see things in 8K, but you may not be able to hear them due to a possible upcoming video game voice actors strike. This coming in from a deal that has seen its age that was put into effect in the 70s. So it comes with a large new circumstances for voice actors to know when they are going in somewhere, some stipulations such as if there are an extraneous scenes or parts within the game, such as a lot of yelling, that they can only happen in 2-hour intervals so they don't wreck their voice. Stunt choreographers for voice actors so they can get a realistic interpretation of what the characters should sound like, but still stay safe while doing the stunts. Which I didn't even know they did that.
I think usually they show them some sort of a digital clip to show, hey, this is what's happening in a scene, and you need to voice act accordingly.
But this coming with the Actors Guild I'm sorry if I'm going to pronounce this wrong, AFTRA, which is, it's SAG-AFTRA. So they will be heading that up, This newly revision for the deal is also being agreed on voted yes by such voice actors as Steve Blum, Jennifer Hale, Will Wheaton, Phil Marr, and Ashley Birch, and many more.
Okay, so SAG is Screen Actors Guild. AFTRA, AFTRA, is American Labor... No, that's not it. American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. So that's what your voice actors go under to a degree. So they're looking to merge those two unions, so to speak, into one.
I think that's the union that is working with the other companies such as Disney and EA for voice acting.
So this is already an established union,
yes.
And they're just getting more involved. Okay.
Yes.
So if the current collective bargaining agreement is from 1978,
yeah,
I don't know the circumstances surrounding it. I'm always hesitant when they're threatening strikes, but I think the role of voice actors has expanded so much in video games. You know, thinking back to the types of games in the 70s, 80s, early 90s, voice actors were more or less bit parts.
Correct.
Whereas now, I mean, it's you're acting. It is, you know, the core of the game, and a lot of the games now, a lot of the AAA games anyway, are, you know, full
voice acted.
Well, they're full voice acting, and they're bigger than motion pictures. I mean,
you
figure there's enough content in the average AAA game to go for 20, 30 hours.
In one of the links, they say that the video game industry makes 3 times more money than Hollywood annually.
Oh, I believe it.
However, voice actors do not.
What's interesting to know about voice acting, too, is kind of like you said, Brad, up until a certain point, voice parts were either bit parts or voice actors were more or less nobodies.
Right.
Yeah,
They weren't recognizable people. Actually, Robin Williams was one of the first quote-unquote mainstream actors to do a voice acting part for Genie in Aladdin. Mm-hmm. That was one of the first movies to ever bring in a AAA actor, so to speak. And now you look at it, you've got people like Nathan Fillion and many others doing Halo voices. You've got Kevin Spacey who's doing Call of Duty stuff. You've got, these big-time actors who are doing voice work. Yeah, and they're going to want to make sure, too, that their rights as actors are being mindful. You've got other actors that are voice actor onlys, exclusive voice, that aren't getting the same treatment. And like you said, Brad, if the contract's almost 40 years old, the current terms and conditions are 40 years old, there needs to be a change.
I mean, anyone relative with the game industry knows Ashley Birch, Will Wheaton. We discussed Will Wheaton. He got himself under some fire. Recently, we discussed that. Jennifer Hale, I think she was the voice in BioShock Infinite. Sorry if I can't remember her name. And Steve Blum. These are all, if you, in the video game industry, you know who these people are.
Big names.
Big names, yeah. They're big names in the video game community, but when you've got, like I said, AAA Hollywood actors doing stuff, it calls an attention.
But this is for more video game voice actors, not, movies.
Well, but if the whole SAG union is stepping in, then it's a bigger picture than that. But I think my concern, at least with what I'm hearing, is that are they really going on strike, or are they just under contract negotiations?
It's a potentiality if they don't hear word from the big companies.
So they're in contract negotiations with the risk of a strike.
And if this does happen, we will see games being pushed back because, the characters aren't being voiced.
I think if any games have any sort of initial release dates now, most of that stuff is done.
They may, except for the games that don't have a thing.
Yeah, but they're not
I was
around
going
the
to say, if they go on strike anytime soon, that's not going to affect the summer releases and probably won't affect the holiday releases, but next summer's releases will be in jeopardy and going forward from there. I mean, depending on how long they're on strike.
They may take ununioned voice actors, basically what Scab works.
Scab workers, yeah.
And pay the price for it.
Yeah, well, sometimes, sometimes scabs need the work, need the money, and aren't half bad, so...
Agreed. Although, I would point back to the Screenwriters Guild strike of a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened with that? We ended up with a whole mess load of reality TV that we've never recovered from.
Yeah.
Don't strike.
Agreed. So, essentially they're in contract negotiations. And people are speculating there could be a strike if it doesn't go well, but that sounds like nobody has really stepped out and said, hey, we're going on strike if.
There's a high potentiality of a strike if there's no word from the big companies such as Disney, EA, whatever, within a couple of days. If there's no word from within a couple of days, then it's strike.
Yep. And see what happens then. All right. Brad.
Sounds good.
Back to you.
Not really.
The coverage sounds good. How about that?
Yes. So, I have a double article here.
Uh-oh. No, you can't do that.
Okay, never mind then. So, let's do some Apple news.
Of course. Fanboy.
Absolutely. I know. So, we're going to cover some security stuff here. You're going to have to go with me on this one. We've been discussing recently calls from the government to weaken or not weaken, that's not the word I'm after, but to allow them access into consumer-grade encryption. And it's always portrayed as save the children. We've had calls from the head of the FBI and also from the head of the NSA, not to weaken encryption, but to come up with ways to allow the government access in when they supposedly reasonably need it.
Supposedly.
Well, we've got a couple things going at the moment, and that is TSA, several years ago, created a program in order to enhance security while also maintaining their ability to enforce the rules. And that's the TSA-approved luggage locks. I don't know if you've seen these.
I have not.
Okay. So they are specially designed luggage locks, sometimes keyed, usually combination. You get to set your own combination that only you know. However, there are a set of master keys. I believe there's 6 or 8 master keys. And the lock comes printed with a number of which key to use. And the TSA holds these keys. So you can set your own combination that you don't share, but they still have access to your bag for security screening.
Okay.
This is a real-world physical example of what the government is trying to do with encryption. They're fine with you having encryption. They're fine with you setting your own passwords and having your own keys. That's not a problem, as long as they have a key as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's where the problem arises. Once that master key gets out into the wild, there's no turning back. And that's exactly what happened recently to the TSA master padlock keys.
Sweet.
Due to a slip-up, shall we say, by the Washington Post. They were doing an article on it and were permitted to photograph the master keys and published it online.
Stupid.
Well, they were quickly, got a slap on the wrist although I feel like the TSA should be to blame as well for allowing it in the first place. But anyway, and they pulled the post. But, as with anything online, once it's online, it never really dies.
Correct.
In the brief period the Washington Post article was up, somebody pulled the photo and did some studying and measurements, and you can now obtain from whatever nefarious sites you choose to frequent that hold such things, a 3D printer raw file that will perfectly reproduce the TSA keys.
Brilliant.
I know. The TSA is downplaying it, that, we never actually intended them to be secure anyway, don't worry about it.
We never intended this mass security breach.
Yeah. Isn't this the same organization that only was supposedly like 6% effective at their job anyway?
Yes. So, again, this is a real-world physical example of when the government holds the master keys. Again, even if they don't do anything wrong, once they get leaked, released, shared somehow, there is no going back. We now have multiple millions, I would say tens of millions, of these specially designed TSA-approved locks that anybody with a 3D printer can make a key for.
So awesome.
So when we accept their premise and redesign the encryption to allow government backdoor access, and China or North Korea figures out what the backdoor code is, there's no going back. We've already coded that in. So the other portion of this we covered several weeks ago. Again, trust us, we're safe. Several weeks ago, we covered that the Office of Personnel Management, which is the government's HR department, essentially, got hacked, suspected Chinese involvement here, and that the documents of secret and top secret cleared government workers were stolen. Well, this week, the OPM admits that part of that data breach includes 5.6 million fingerprints of these security-cleared individuals. Now, we're talking everything run-of-the-mill. We're talking the secretary that handles photocopying classified documents, all the way up to deep-cover CIA and NSA operatives that are operating in dangerous locations around the world. They now have their fingerprints.
So awesome.
So, trust us. We're good.
Yeah. We're the government. We can keep you safe. Except when we incriminate you. Don't worry about it, though. It's fine.
Don't worry. We got this.
And let everyone else know our safety lock keys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Exactly.
The point of security is to keep us safe, to let us keep ourselves safe. And once we start sharing that, whether by choice or by force, the level of security is gone.
Ridiculous. But every time we turn around, they're wanting more and more permissions to everything.
Well, exactly. I did not have this in the rundown. Where did I see it? It was some northeast. We're going back several months now. Remember we covered the license plate readers?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Vaguely? Okay. There was a police department in the northeast, I want to say somewhere around Boston area, that was dumping into a web-accessible, non-password protected database that anybody with the right address could access.
Beautiful. So unsecure, raw, available.
Yep.
www.policelicenseplates.com.
More or less.
Track police license plate.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
Wasn't one of those apps, those traffic apps or something, using it for like police checkpoints or something?
No, this is the other side of it. This is law enforcement tracking us.
Oh.
Reading license plates and dumping into a raw database that was publicly accessible license plates of suspects, license plates of people with open warrants, with parking tickets, with unpaid fines.
Stolen cars,
registered sex offenders, you name it. Anything that would ping on a license plate was being dumped into this database that anybody could read.
That's awesome.
It is.
I want to know what the database is now. Make sure that I'm not on it.
It seems like they are playing with stuff that nobody in the administration really understands. They want access because, encrypted and hidden is scary because they can't read it, but they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. They're making the problem worse, not better.
Exactly.
Very good. I mean, not very good. Very depressing, like we said. We're going down a dark path here, people, and it's not okay. Wait. Change it up.
Speaking from a lack of security, someone who's going to need more security, DraftKings, a popular fantasy,
not vanity. That's different.
Fantasy sports site will be rolling out their esports segment or section of the site come this October. This coincides with the League of Legends, the League of Legends World Championships that will be occurring the same month. I did put in the link for how this will work. Games team games such as obviously League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Dota 2, and Smite will be being covered, and individual games such as StarCraft 2, Hearthstone, and there's one other one I do not have, will also be available for basically fantasy esports. So you will be able to gamble on esports competitions, competitors. I think this is actually pretty good.
I think this is awesome.
It's another kind of step up for gaming in more legalized areas.
I think it legitimizes gaming when you've got a group like DraftKings who are pushing really hard to being one of the biggest fantasy football systems around right now, that are saying, hey, there's a market over here that we're not tapping that we could, and they see it from a business standpoint to be on the same par as NFL football. Yeah. I'm not saying esports is or isn't, but when you have a company that has the system in place that says we're offering similar services, that says something.
Sure.
That's all you got? Sure.
Sure.
Good ad.
Yep.
Thanks for
good
coming.
Good comment.
So it's, if say your player gets a kill in one of the games, that's maybe tenable to a touchdown or whatever. And through
the way fantasy football works is you build a team, and then depending on how well those players do, you get points.
That's exactly what happens.
And then depending on who in your league has the most points, you get paid out.
Yeah.
So now they're having a point system based on different sub-criteria of a game: first kill, quantity of kills, overall result.
When your person on your team gets a kill, 10 amount, like a touchdown in
some
football.
Sort of point criteria.
So I'm going to be very interested in this. I'm not sure how DraftKings actually does this. Probably think it's a subscription-based.
What they're doing is like an online poker, at least for football, is that you log in and you deposit a certain amount of money. Mm-hmm. I know they had a special running recently where if you deposited $200, they would match it. So you had $400 to play. And then I think you could pick leagues to play in based on certain buy-in amounts. So it's like going to a casino and sitting at a poker table. You could either play at a $5 buy-in or a $50 buy-in. The $50 buy-in is going to pay you out more money, but it's also a higher cost to get into.
Yeah.
So I can only assume that that's the same sort of template and structure they're going to apply here.
It is very much, like I said, I've put in the link on the show notes for this does have a video which will explain how their system will roll out. So,
I think they're brilliant.
I think it does bring like you said, a measure of legitimacy. Yeah, and what's the word I'm after?
Don't know.
Like now you're playing with the big boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to cause some fame in the esports community too now, because you're going to have gamblers, so to speak, following certain people and where they play, when they play, what they play, to make sure that they're on their team or not, So then you're going to start having... It's going to provoke an industry where now you have people keeping statistics. This player averages so many kills a game, this, that, and the other.
Yep.
Just like there's sports betting advisors. And this could be this could be the spark that lights the fire.
Well, the main problem with this is, and I'm going to paraphrase from the article here, competitive gaming is undoubtedly big business, particularly in Asia. However, DraftKings is only available in the United States and Canada. But DraftKings executive Matt Kalish, that's Kalish, says the company is hoping to expand to internationally in the future.
Well, so what I hear from that is that people in Asia can't gamble through DraftKings, but we in America could still potentially have those players on our fantasy league, so to speak, depending on how they do it.
Right.
And can still use them on your team to earn points. It's just those countries and regions can't participate in the system.
And also the company has signed with 6 unnamed gaming teams, sorry. So even the players like the sound of this.
Well, players would have no reason not to.
Because the players will get more... What's
notoriety.
It called? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool.
So, yay, more legitimacy in gaming. I like it.
There you go. With that, I think that's going to just about do it for us today. We do want to thank you for listening. We're sorry for the hiatus. We do ask that you follow us on Twitter if you're not already. That's at Abundance Not. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/abundance.not. We look forward to seeing you there. And keep in mind, on Twitter, we're almost at 300 followers now. That leaves you only about 200 away from the $50 gift card raffle. So spread the word, share the wealth, and $50 could be yours.
Tell your friends, tell your enemies.
Come on, come on.
There you go. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Keep on gaming.
That's a wrap.